For 20 years, I thought I was lazy. Now I happily work 7 days a week doing shit that I love. And if you think you're lazy, I disagree. And I want to prove that to you in this video in 3 points. First, my laziness origin story, so you know, you can decide for yourself whether I'm bullshitting you or not. 2, what actually causes the behavior that we call laziness and how you can fight it so it doesn't control you. And 3rd, what I believe is proof that you aren't lazy. So, origin story. I don't think people who've always been productive should get to be productivity gurus. And that's why I want you to give me a chance to prove to you that you're not lazy. If that's why you're here, maybe you just like a sob story. Because I never found productivity easy. It was a 20-year slog of a fight against procrastination. I hated maths growing up. My earliest memory of procrastination was not maths, but it's probably the strongest. I hated maths growing up to the degree that whenever I got a new maths teacher, whenever I went to a new year and I got a new maths teacher, whenever I had a chance to talk to another teacher, maths teacher, whenever we had those, like, every now and then every year or two, you'd have like speakers come in for different things, and sometimes there'd be like a maths one. There was a maths camp that I went to one time. I would always ask one question, all of them. Did you always find maths easy? Did maths always come easily to you? And they always said yes. And it disappointed me no end, because it would have been hope that I wouldn't be slogging against this for years to come. But they all found it easy. That's why they became maths teachers. It makes sense. But I hope that with procrastination, I can be a hope, if this is an area you struggle with. Because maths homework, almost every day, there were exercises we were supposed to do every day, and almost every day when we went to hand it in for 15 years, almost every day I would lie. I would have to give some justification or excuse about why I didn't have it. And I have to assume the teachers knew I was bullshitting. I didn't detect a great deal of bullshitting, but I have to assume they knew. And it stressed me out every single time. I just dreaded it every day. And that was the trend for a lot of things throughout my life, throughout school. In the 2 weeks before my end of all school exams, I binge watched all of Parks and Recreation instead of doing any study whatsoever until 2 days before the exams. In my honours year of uni, aside from all of the procrastination that was throughout school and uni as well, in my honours year, I spent 2 months just playing World of Warcraft in the middle of, like, assessment period. I have narcolepsy that has dopamine shit going on. I had special provisions with the uni that enabled me to get away with it, and in the sense that my supervisor let me catch up over, like, the break instead. And I did, but those 2 months, I did absolutely nothing but play World of Warcraft. I had no will to do anything else. I'm a skilled procrastinator. I want you to know I'm a very capable procrastinator. I don't want you to doubt that. And the worst of it was after I finished honours, and I realised I didn't want to work for industry. I didn't want to work in product design or service design in the areas that I had studied for, because they didn't feel like they were going anywhere particularly interesting to me. I was interested in a PhD, but I didn't know how to angle in on it. And so there were all of these little paths, these little ideas, mostly entrepreneurial, that I thought, let me give that a go. And I was just frozen. I was paralyzed. Which do I pick? And how do I make it happen? And a lot of these things kind of need startup capital. And I don't have that. I didn't have a job. I just finished uni. I had nothing. And the paralysis led to full-blown existential dread. It was hardcore. There was a meltdown at one point. And eventually that led me, and I don't know the whole mess of the thing, but eventually that led me to the conclusion, what are the most important problems in our lives? Design is creative problem solving. I don't want to work on the design of a water bottle or the user experience of a cafe. They're interesting, I enjoy it. I enjoy all design, but they're not meaningful to me. What are the most important problems in our lives? The problems in our lives. All of those problems are capitalism problems. What are the most important problems? They're the ones in our lives. Can I help people with that? And I thought, hey, maybe, probably something mimetic going on here, but one of my housemates at the time was a coach, a health coach. He grew on Instagram and was able to sort of build up from there. And because I saw that happen, it felt like maybe there was a path there for me too. And so that was the thing that I decided to stick with. There were a couple of other things that happened in the meantime. Those are tangents. There was a startup that did not go anywhere, but this I wanted to stick with. This is the thing that I wanted to make happen. And eventually I got myself around. It took a lot of force, took a lot of push and a bit of help, but I made my first post on Instagram. And then I kept posting and I kept posting, and it did that thing that they say it does, which is I blew up. And people started coming to me and saying, Sam, I'm interested in working with you. And I'd get in calls with them and I'd say, hey, I know on social media I talk about what I know, procrastination, motivation, are familiar problems to me, but I don't have an expertise there. My expertise is in design. I'm good at design. If you want to work on the problem together and find a way forward together without a clear path right now, I'd love to. And a bunch of people gave me that chance. And that let me practice. And long story short, here we are now. But the thing that happened in the middle is why I focus on procrastination now, which is that was the thing that everyone brought to me. In some capacity, some way or another, I realized it was all procrastination. And then one day, something clicked. I don't know what it was, really. Not exactly. There were a couple of things, though, that I can break it down into. One, an observation of just what happened within me, and two, hopefully an insight, which is the part two that I want to get to in a moment. And the end of the sob story. This is Jenny, if you haven't met her. And the first thing was my procrastination just kind of dissolved. It just went. I didn't know why, I didn't know where, but I was working a lot and I was finding it easy. The second thing was I realized the thing hidden in plain sight, the thing hidden in my maths homework, which was I hated my maths homework. So of course, I procrastinated it. Essays were confusing to me. So I didn't want to do essays. I was exhausted from narcolepsy. The work was overwhelming and I really cared about it, and that raised the stakes. So I threw myself into World of Warcraft. There was pain and I was avoiding the pain. That was what I realized. And this is part two, what we can do about it. I have not been paying attention to my notes. I'm going to quickly go back and make sure that I haven't missed anything important. The story, the sub-story, yep, we're good. Okay. So what I learned was procrastination is caused by pain. Task pain. There is a day coming soon where I want to be able to make illustrations appear here. I haven't figured that out yet, so you're going to go with gesticulation. Or else there are illustrations and this doesn't make sense what I'm saying right now. Task pain, procrastination pain. Task pain starts big. We don't want to do the task. The pain attached to the task is big. The pain attached to procrastination starts small. Task pain, shame. I feel like I'm bad at maths. I feel like I'm not keeping up with my friends. That makes me feel stupid. I have a habit of putting it off. I don't really know how to get it done in an efficient way. All of these painful things stacking up like an onion, making the pain big. Then procrastination pain. Procrastination, distracting myself from this pain. I don't want to look at that task. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. I'm going to look over here instead. When I look over here, a threat builds up. Procrastination pain, guilt and stress for not doing this. The consequences of not doing this grow and grow and grow. The closer the threat becomes. I'm speaking to the teacher tomorrow. Big threat. Not big enough. class is about to start. Big threat, no time to do the task, can't be pushed into the task now, but procrastinated study for 2 weeks and exam is in 2 days. Fuck, I need to study. This is an important exam. Do the task. So we do whatever the least painful thing is. This is what I realized. We do whatever the least painful thing is. That is the human nature thing. It's not a great, profound insight, but it's a very useful one here, because in procrastination, we end up in this idea of laziness, we end up in spirals where we feel real shit about ourselves. And that shame deters us from doing the thing even more. Anyway, the procrastination pain gets bigger than the task pain, we do the task. The procrastination pain smaller than the task pain, we do the procrastination. We avoid whichever thing is bigger and more painful. And that makes sense. It makes sense to avoid things. So maybe I'm not a piece of shit. Maybe I'm not lazy. Maybe I just don't know how to navigate this pain. Maybe I have a particular strategy for navigating pain, which is avoid, ignore, look in the other direction, distract myself with something fun and interesting. So my question to you is, what's painful? Why is it painful? What are you avoiding? What's painful about it? If you can bring yourself to ask that question right now, I would greatly encourage you to do so. Please, just take a moment to reflect, even pause this. What are you avoiding right now and why is it painful? So the magic that you will see, if you pause and do that, the magic that you will see is when you look at the task, you don't feel the task pain, you feel the procrastination pain. You can safely, particularly early on in the cycle of procrastination, you can safely look at the task without experiencing the pain of the task. The essay is boring as shit to write. You're not going to experience that boredom if you're not writing the essay, which means you can look at it and observe the boredom. And what happens then is a new path opens up. We have 2 ways to get tasks done, and we've been using one of them, waiting until the procrastination pain gets too big, and that fucking sucks. It hurts. The other way, if a task is painful, is we learn to make the task pain smaller. Then it will shrink below the size of the procrastination pain and we'll do the task. And if we get good at that, and we have strategies that we can depend on all the time to make it smaller, the procrastination pain will never get very big, which means we'll never really be in a great deal of pain anymore. They'll both be little, which would be a great relief. I hope you feel that. I hope you feel that it would be a great relief. And that's a big part of why I'm making this video. It's not as a solution to everything, it's as hope. Solutions we will get to. Those are for other videos, and please like and subscribe for the purposes of that. But for here and now, hope exists in the fact that you can safely look at the task and learn to make that smaller, rather than always waiting for the procrastination pain to get so big that you are forced into doing the task. There is hope. So, part 3. Proof, I hope. Proof that you aren't lazy. If you might think you are, Jenny is looking for a lap. She is a lap fiend, and this is adorable. We'll just give her a moment. All right. Looks like she will be sticking around if she thinks that this is suitable to her needs, which usually she does. She is very ambitious, no matter how small the surface area of the lap is. So, proof that you aren't lazy, and we're going to use some reasoned deduction and a couple of definitions in order to make that reasoned deduction. First of all, these are from the Oxford Dictionary, so the one that you see if you Google, which I think we can all agree is relatively reliable. Of course, we're dealing with semantics here, but I hope it's useful nonetheless. Lazy. Definition: unwilling to work or use effort. Now, you might feel that that's true. You might feel that you are unwilling to work or use effort. There are many circumstances, but the first break that we can see, the first flaw in that is there are many circumstances where you are willing to work and use effort. Those might be on hobby things. Those might be on hobby things temporarily. Those might be when you're excited about a project, or when you're doing something for someone else, or when you're about to go on holidays and you want the house to be clean when you get back and you do some hard work. There are moments where you are willing to work or use effort, therefore you cannot be inherently lazy. However, I admit there are moments where you are not willing to work or use effort. Seemingly. But let's go to the definition then of willing. Ready, eager, or prepared to do something. According to the Oxford Dictionary, ready, eager, or prepared to do something. So lazy meaning not ready, eager, or prepared to do something. Not ready, not eager, not prepared to do something. Those are a lot of things that you need to be unwilling now. As an example. So the one I want to focus on there is eager. Not eager to work or use effort. We only need to prove in one circumstance that this isn't true for you to not be an inherently lazy person. Eager, definition, strongly wanting to do or have something. Strongly wanting to do or have something. Have is an emphasis there. Do or have. So laziness then, not eager to do or have something. Not eager to do or have something. You are. I was. All of those projects that I was thinking about, all of those projects that honestly I'm still excited about and want to get to, but I'm just still a few years on working most of my time on this, and it's an interesting problem and I want to stick with it and I want to give my attention to it and I want to make it work really well before I shift my attention to something else. So I'm excited to get back to those things. I'm eager for them. I'm prioritizing differently, but I'm eager for them. And there are things that you're eager for. Things that you strongly want to do or have. And even if you don't feel like doing them, even if you find them painful to do, you want to do them, you care about doing them. That's the issue with this word want. We get so confused within ourselves. I want to watch another episode, but I want to get the thing done, but I don't want to get the thing done and I don't want to watch another episode. I want to watch another episode because it's a cliffhanger and it's interesting and it's fun and it's easy and it helps me avoid the pain. I don't want to because I'm a bit deep, I'm a bit unhappy with my day as a result because I haven't got much done and I'd like to be more productive. I want to do the task because I want to work on that. I want to progress. I want to get something productive done, and I don't want to do the task because it's painful and it's hard and it's stressful and it makes me feel ashamed because I haven't worked on it all day and I haven't done enough and I feel like I should have done a lot more. And so want just sends us in loops. It really doesn't help most of the time. But certainly there are things here that you want. And therefore you cannot be lazy because you are eager for them, eager to work on them. Now, you might still disagree with me here. I'm, as I said, working on definitions and working on semantics. But this isn't an objective thing. You can continue to define yourself as lazy, and there's an outcome to that. Or you could consider that maybe you're not. You could have hope that you're not. And that would produce a different outcome. The narrative that you're lazy says that there's nothing that needs to change because you can trust that you're flawed. There's something wrong with you. You can't do it. You can trust that you can't do it. If you're lazy, you can trust that because that's you. And that's what the narrative says. There's no reason to change anything. There's no reason to try to change anything because you can't, because you're lazy. Or you can have hope. Hey, maybe I'm not lazy. Maybe there's something in the way. Maybe there's pain in the way and I don't know how to navigate it. I've found this effective strategy for avoiding pain. Other people use other strategies to avoid pain. Some people use productivity to avoid pain. That's the way they distract themselves. Not me. I use completely unproductive shit. So if I'm using a strategy that isn't working, because there are obstacles to these things that I care about, then if I remove those obstacles, I'd be able to do it. I wouldn't need this strategy anymore, this flawed strategy that causes a different kind of pain. I wouldn't need that because I'd have this. I'd have this other way forward, this reducing the pain, removing the obstacles so that I could do it easily. There are two paths. One is just hope. One is just considering maybe I'm not shit. Hope is scary. It means change might be afoot. It means you have to consider something else. It means there's the possibility of hope being dashed. But I've worked with a lot of people now, and I beg of you to have hope. If you feel you're lazy, if you feel you can't do it, if you feel you're not capable, I beg of you, have hope that maybe you can navigate those obstacles. Maybe there is a way, and we're not dealing with them in this video because we're already at 20 minutes, bang on, if I haven't edited anything. And that's for another time, beyond when you have liked and subscribed, so the videos continue to come up for you. But what I do want you to hold on to, there's hope. One other piece of advice though. Don't try to fix this all at once. Don't try to fix this all at once. This is just practical hope. Stick around. We'll get to the execution. When we try to do everything all at once, we burn out. Most of the people I work with are familiar with a roller coaster within these two top bottom brackets, a floor and a ceiling. It's up and down, going hard, burning out, crashing back down, nothing they try ever sticking. And for us to break the top, break the ceiling, and get further than we've been, we have to go slowly. When we get to that crashing point, we just have to pump the brakes, slow down, not keep pushing, just pause, not catastrophize, not run away, hold it. Sit there, learn, find a new path forward. And that's all I ask of you right now. Just sit on that cusp, waiting, ready, not throwing the towel in, waiting to find a new way forward, waiting for the new way to open up. And maybe for you, that'll be in the next video or the one after. So for the last time, like and subscribe, whether you want to watch in the future or not, because I'd really appreciate it. And that's all. I would say I'm going this way if you want to come. But I did that already in the bush an hour ago when I filmed this whole video, but I left my notebook and I didn't want to walk all the way back. And then I saw that the video, the mic was fucked. And so it was all moved anyway. So I had to refilm it. And that's why we're here. As the light wanes, I'm not going anywhere because I'm already in the apartment. But I hope you'll stick around for next time. And goodbye for now. Jenny, say goodbye. Jenny? Yep. Okay. There we go.